know, the United States of America was the greatest country before Trump, and it's the greatest country now after Trump. The white supremacists want to go back. They want to go back to the days when it was legal to own slaves.
You are about to be entertained by the ape, the young man who has become a legend in his own time. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Oh, my bad. Okay, United States of America and beyond. It's the Ron Kelly Talk Radio program on a Thursday night. What time it is? Thursday night. Oh, what am I doing here? Okay, Thursday night, 7 o'clock. You know what time it is. It's the Ron Kelly Talk Radio program. Hope everybody can hear me. We've been having some issues lately with the some issues lately with the sound. So, you know, I hope that. Okay, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, all over the place. The Ron Kelly Talk Radio program. And I told you last year, y'all going over this YouTube channel and show a little love to the YouTube channel over there. YouTube, the Ron Kelly Show. You can just pencil that in and go on over there and subscribe to the Ron Kelly Show. Do I sound like I'm begging? Well, I'm not. But yeah, go on over there and subscribe to the Ron Kelly Talk Radio program. You'll be so glad you did. Anyway, everybody, it's balmy, just absolutely balmy outside. It's humid and hot, like it's still the summertime, even though we're sliding toward the beginning of October. But anyway, everybody, it's nice to have you here on the Ron Kelly Talk Radio program. Okay, let me see. All right, let me take a quick break and I'll come back. Let me just address something. Take a quick break and come back with this program. Transgender stuff, enough. We'll get into it. Plus, Jimmy Kimmel, he's back. Jimmy Kimmel is back on the air. Well, he actually came on the air last night. He has some interesting things to say. So we'll talk about that too as well. Everybody, it's just a couple minutes past the hour. It's the Ron Kelly Talk Radio program, and it's on blogtalkradio.com, the RonKellyShow.com. All right, we are back, everybody. It's the Ron Kelly Talk Radio program for Thursday. Once again, it's September 25th already, 2018. and 25. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. It's the Ron Kelly Talk Radio program. And then tonight I plan to talk about, let me just check something out here. I plan to talk about the trans phenomenon, if you can call it that. The trans phenomenon. Hopefully everybody can hear me. You can hit me up on Facebook if there's any issue. We're still trying to find a landing place for the show, and we will find it. But what's up tonight about the transgender situation, and more importantly, you got kids who are kids that are deciding what gender they should be. I mean, these are kids who can't drink, can't smoke, can't vote. Adolescents, preteens, who are deciding what gender they want to be. Now, at that age, good evening, Arnett and Marshall, good evening. Hope everybody can hear me. At that age, when you're a kid, 10, 11, 12, you're not supposed to be there. I mean, you don't even know what gender is. You don't even know, at that point, even the difference between a man and a woman, besides the women sit down on the toilet and the men stand up. You don't really know anything at that point. You don't really know anything as a child. And these children are being allowed. These children are being allowed to choose their gender. Children are being allowed to choose their gender. Just unbelievable. So, I've been taking a look at this, and I've been hearing a lot about this, and I was approached, because people give me show ideas sometimes, some of them I accept, some of them I don't, if I don't think they're interesting, but I think this is interesting. I think that this is, because it's something I've been taking a look at for quite some time. And, just the whole idea of transitioning. They say trans man, trans woman. We're going to get into that. We're going to dig. We're going to, I usually do. We're going to dig into that. And we're also going to talk a little bit about Jimmy Kimmel and Trump's march toward censorship, where the government can tell you what to say and what to do. That's his aim. And see, the sad part about this is we still got another almost 3.5 years of this craziness. And he's going to get older, and he's going to be more Alzheimer affected, whatever else is going on with him, Alzheimer's, because he's going to be, next year he's going to be, either this year or next year he's going to be 80. Trump will be 80. And he on the outside, he seems like he's got it all together for somebody that old. But behind the scenes, we don't know what's going on with him. So we'll get into that. And we'll get into this phenomena of transitioning, where people think that they can actually, a man can transition into a woman, and a woman can transition into a man. It's just utterly ridiculous. And see, America, you're going to have people who are going to embrace everything. In America, you're going to have people who, let them do it. It's their right, And some people are going to accept everything. Some people. Utterly ridiculous. Okay, some people. Some people are going to accept everything. Some people, because, in America, no wonder that the conservatives hate the liberals, because there are liberals who accept everything. Now, I don't agree with everything that President Trump has done, but I certainly agree with, I agree that this thing needs to be put to sleep, but I don't agree necessarily the way that he's doing it. I have a problem with the way he's doing it, but I don't necessarily think that it shouldn't be done. Because it's a man and a woman. You're a man and a woman. That's how that's how this world was created. A man and a woman. Now, you see, back in the day, like back in the late 70s, early 80s, when I was coming around, men would cross-dress. Like, you had the movie with Dustin Hoffman, Dustin Hoffman cross-dressed in his movie. I forget the name of it. And then you had Mrs. Doubtfire. Mrs. Doubtfire was Robin Williams, and Robin Williams cross-dressed in his movie. Arnetta Marshall says, I'm so happy I'm a woman, born a woman, going to stay a woman. I agree 100%. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah. You see, because, it's supposed to be, when the world was created years ago, now, not sure who, you have there's two different types of people. You have the people who believe that God created the heaven and earth, and then you have people who think that through evolution, that's how we came about, through evolution, where it just happened. It's some kind of scientific phenomenon. So you have, on the one hand, people who think God created heaven and earth, and then on the other hand, you have people who think that man evolved from the ape. Well, how come all the apes didn't turn into men? If that's the case, why didn't all the apes turn into men? But anyway, we have this phenomenon now. Tootsie was the name of the movie, Tootsie. See, none of y'all told me that. I remember that on my own. Tootsie was the name of the movie that Dustin Hoffman did, where he cross-dressed. And there's been many, back in the day, long time ago. Mrs. Doubtfire, you had Robin Williams who was cross-dressing. In the TV show, Bosom Buddies, Tom Hanks cross-dressed. Him and his buddy cross-dressed so they can get into this, so they can live in this all-girl apartment building, and it was funny. But that's not funny anymore, because back in the day, in the 70s, 80s, men would cross-dress, but they wouldn't go to work cross-dressed, they wouldn't go, they wouldn't live as a woman. But now things have taken a turn, I think, for the worse. And what pisses me off more than anything else is at trans people, or advocates, or people who support them are comparing the trans situation to slavery. Nothing compares to slavery. But there are people out there in the trans community, in the LGBTQ community, who are comparing gender bias or trans bias to comparing that to slavery and what black folks went through. Now, you knock it off, because you can't compare it. See, you made a choice. See, the people that are trans, so-called trans people, they made a choice. You chose, because you knew there was going to be some bias. You knew. You knew there was going to be some bias when you decided to be trans. You knew. So the people who decided that they wanted to be trans knew there was going to be some pushback. Because you're taking, you're trying to become something you're not. And see, the whole, gender, I looked it up earlier about gender reassignment surgeries, where and no amount of surgery is going to turn a man into a woman. No amount of surgery is going to turn a man into a woman. Arnetta Marshall says it's sad, because you can't even tell some of these people who have changed from one to the other. Right. And see, and the whole thing is that they haven't changed at all. Because just because you dress like a man doesn't mean you're going to think like a man. Just because you dress like a woman and they give you some boobs or whatever, and you get the gender reassignment surgery, they're not giving you a coochie or kitty. They're not giving you that. They're giving you not even a facsimile. And the truth of the matter is, on both sides, that most of them don't get the surgery. They go so far, and then when it comes to the gender reassignment, that's where that's where they pump the brakes. Because a lot of them they'll get the hormones. You see the women, because they're still women, who had beards and chest hair and all of this stuff, but they're still women. They're still women. So, see, this thing, and it is, and I don't want to, like, be necessarily against anybody, but I am against this trans issue because you're not transforming. Now, maybe 100 years from now, when technology is far beyond anything that we could even imagine right now, maybe 100 years from now, you'll be able to transition into a woman, inside and out. And vice versa for a woman to a man, inside and out. See, but as a man, like I'm a man, and it took years for me to become a man. You know what I'm saying? So the women who call themselves transitioning, and they look just like men. But you look like a man. You're not actually a man. You look like a man. And see, can you, it's like opening up the box, picking door number 1, and there's a lifetime supply of cat food behind the curtain, and you don't have a cat. So what do you do? What does a trans man, so to speak, do when it's time to pleasure a woman? You can't do what a man does. You can't. So, it's like, once you hook the fish, you got to throw it back in the water. So the whole concept of switching genders is flawed because you're not actually switching your gender. What you're doing is you're going to look like something that you want to be, but you're not actually going to be that. You're just going to look like it. And that's part of the problem. This trans stuff, and I agree with Trump. I agree that, whatever you think your gender is, you can't go in the women's bathroom because you think you're a woman. I agree with that. I agree with the men, trans men can't go in the man's bathroom. I agree with that because you're not a man. You're a woman. And for a man to try to go into a woman's bathroom, no, I don't give a damn how many surgeries you had or how many hormones you took or how much, whatever the case may be, testosterone, whatever they give these people. It doesn't matter to me. If you were born a woman, you shouldn't be in the men's bathroom. If you were born a man, you should not be in the woman's bathroom. So now they talk about like sports, for example, high school sports, college. I agree 100%. Leah Thomas. Leah was not Leah. Leah was Leon. Leah wasn't Leah. Leah was more like a Leon. And Leah was a man, a strong and powerful young man who swam against girls. So what you think was going to happen? So I agree that trans women should not be allowed to participate in sports against high school or college girls. So I agree that trans college athletes should not be able to I agree that trans college athletes should not be able to participate in sports with biological girls. You see, because the trans men know that they can't compete with men. So even though they call themselves transforming into men, they don't try to compete with other men because they know they're going to lose. But the trans women will try to compete against high school girls like Leah Thomas did, and then they took all the medals back, which I thought was right, because you're not a woman. You see, this whole concept that you can just magically change into a woman is just unbelievably ridiculous. Well, let me go here. Okay, Arnetta Marshall asks me, do I believe God loves everyone no matter what? Yeah, I do believe that. I do believe that. But I'll make a comment on that after the breaks. We'll take a break and we'll come back with more of this program. Mr. Ron Kelly Talk Radio Show, and it's on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and blogtalkradio.com. Yes, indeed, I am the man. What a news cycle this is. This guy has got to go. Trump has got to go. George Floyd snuffed out by this police officer who's supposed to be serving and protecting people.
It's the Ron Kelly Show.
Okay. Oh boy. My timing is off. Anyway, everybody, it's just it's 22 minutes past the hour, actually. It's the Ron Kelly Talk Radio program, and it's on blogtalkradio.com, the RonKellyShow.com, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, all across social media spectrum. Thank you, everybody, for watching. 11,000 people watched the Ron Kelly Show last week. 11,000 people. But 80% of them watched the video. Only a small percentage of those 11,000 people who saw the Ron Kelly Show last week, only a small percentage of them watched while the program was live. Now, I can't say that, I'm upset about that because, that's a lot of people for a show where I don't advertise or anything like that on the social media. So, yeah, it's a lot of people. I appreciate everybody who listens, but I just find it so weird. I guess, everybody is going to watch during the time that they can watch, So I guess that Thursday night at 7 o'clock is not good for a lot of y'all. I mean, y'all would love the live watching people who are live watching me. I would love that, but thank you anyway. Thank you, appreciate you. Continue to do what you do. 11,000 folks listened to the Ron Kelly Show last week across the social media spectrum, so I appreciate that. But again, 90% of y'all, 80% of y'all didn't listen while I was actually live, which is fine. Live, video, just keep watching. Anyway, everybody, it's about 25 minutes past the hour of 7 o'clock. Got a decent football game coming on tonight. I think it's the Chargers and somebody. Seahawks, something like that. Pretty decent game for a Thursday night. Most of the Thursday night games are like garbage. So this is a good thing. It's 25 minutes past the hour. So yeah, I'm me personally, it is my official position. I'm totally against the trans movement. Totally against it. And I know I'm not going to go out here and try to stop anybody from doing what they do or actively protest in the streets about trans people. But I'm just totally against it because you're not transforming. See, that's the thing with me. Now, if they could gut you out and reprogram you and give you male DNA and male chromosomes and and give you the same thing we got, if that was even possible, maybe 100 years from now, you'd be able to do that, but not today. Maybe in the year 2125, you might be able to do that, but not today. So if it's an oxymoron because you're not really transitioning. Transitioning to what? You think that having a beard and, for the trans men, you think having a beard and mustache and chest hair, that's what makes a man? Hell no. There's a lot more to it. There's a lot more to it. Now, getting back to what Arlena Marshall said before I went to the break, and do I believe God loves everyone no matter what? Yes. Yes, I do believe that God loves everyone no matter what. Yes, I do. You know what? And I'm not saying that I hate trans people. No. I don't hate trans people. But I just hate the idea that somebody, and then you got kids who are being allowed to decide what gender they are. And they don't even understand anything about life. 6th grade, 7th grade. They don't understand anything about life. They don't know how it goes down. But we are allowing them, the bleeding heart liberals are allowing children to decide what gender they should be. Now, how the hell are you going to try to decide what gender at that age? At that age, you don't really know anything. But you're going to try to decide to what gender you want to be. To me, it's ridiculous that you would allow a child to give a child, somebody who can't read, who can't drive, can't drink, can't vote, but you're going to let them make the most important decision that they're ever going to make in their life. And that's to be a man or a woman. Come on. It doesn't make any sense. But I do believe that God loves everybody. And I do believe that God loves the trans people. But I think Trump is right. I think that trans girls should not be allowed to participate in sports with biological girls. Trans men don't try to compete with biological men because they know they'll lose. So they don't even try that. But I do think that, it's a front to what God has created. It's a desecration to God's purpose for you. And now you want to try to turn around and look like a man. Some of them do. And some of them look just like men. Some of them are decent looking guys. They look like men. Some of them. But on the inside, you're not a man. So what happens when it comes time to do the do? You can't do the do the way we do it. The way a biological man does it. So what are you going to do now? So it's all surface stuff. You take the hormones for the men. You take the testosterone, the women. You get chest hair. You get a beard. You cut your hair. You get your breasts removed, or not the breast, but the fatty tissue from the breast. You get that removed, and yeah, you look like a man, but you can't perform like a man. You can't change a flat tire like a man. You can't do none of that stuff. So whatever you were able to do, whatever your limitations were when you were a girl, or before you tried this trickery, you're still not going to be able to do what a man does. So I just think it's a crock, and that these people are claiming trans. There is no trans. There is no trans. And I know some of y'all are going to be mad at me. I know that the email is going to be hot tomorrow. But there is no trans. There is no transition if you didn't change completely. There is no transition. All right? There is no transition. And I'm against it. I'm with Trump when it comes to not necessarily the way he's doing it, but I agree that when the states don't allow trans women to compete with biological women, Yeah, I agree with that. 100%. I agree with that. Even though Annetta says that, to ask me, did I believe in God? Yeah, I believe in God. And I don't hate the people, but the whole concept that somebody can change from a man to a woman is just ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. That if somebody, that you think that a man can turn into a woman, it's a front to, God's plan for us. And are they sinning by doing what they do? I would say so. Because God created you to be what He created you to be. Now you want to turn around and desecrate His creation by trying to be a woman from a man. And I asked the question because somebody asked me, if a man has sex with a trans man, does that mean that they're gay? If a regular man like me, well not me, but a regular man like me, has sex with a trans man, does that mean that I would be gay? Somebody asked me that today, and I say unequivocally no, because that trans man is not a man. You see, because what happens is, you have a lot of people that will only go so far with this so-called transition. They'll get the hormones, so they grow some boobs and, and get some hair, and they'll do what do to do, look the part. But, a lot of those men who don't choose gender reassignment surgery, they don't want their private parts cut off and changed or fashioned somehow into a vagina. They don't want that. And the women, there's really nothing they can do. The trans men, there's nothing they can do to be a man. Besides look like a man. But you're never going to be a man. And for those trans women, they're never going to be women. They're always going to be men, and those women are always going to be women. No matter what kind of surgery you get, you're still going to be what you were born as. So I agree, stay out the women's bathroom if you're not a man. Stay out the woman's bathroom if you are a man. If you're a trans woman, you shouldn't be going in the woman's bathroom. If you're a trans man, you shouldn't be going in the man's bathroom. You can say what you want to say about me. That's what I believe, and I'm going to stick by it. That's my story, and I am sticking to it at 27 minutes before the hour. So, you want to come at me? Go right on the message. The messages I'm getting is to my right, in the right hand corner of the page. Feel free, knock yourself out. So, yeah. So there is no transitioning. No. Do I have any family members? Somebody asked me that. Do I have any family members on another outlet? No, I don't have no family members that are trans. But I'm just not down with this trans stuff. Because you're not transitioning. You're still a man. If I got a little daughter that's like 7 or 8 years old, I don't want her in the bathroom with some trans woman. No. Not to say they're going to do anything. It's just the whole concept. You're still a man. Now, I don't want you in the bathroom with my daughter. You call it what you want. But yeah. So I agree with Trump. Not the way he does. And actually, there's a few things I agree with Trump and what he's doing. Now, how he does it is a different story. I'm not too much down with that. But I do agree with a lot of the stuff that Donald Trump has done. And I do agree that with the states that don't allow trans women to compete against, or trans girls to compete against biological girls, because that trans girl is still a man. And you have an unfair advantage over these girls. So that I agree with. So hey, I know some of y'all don't like it. It's all right if you don't like it. But, I'm going to tell it like it is. All right, 25 minutes before the hour. So yeah, peace be upon the German couple. Man, damn, you hate to hear about stuff like that. The German couple who were visiting here from Germany, just visiting, taking a stroll. So that's what I tell y'all. Don't walk in between cars that are running. You know, it's not to to throw water on them, but that's as a rule. I don't walk between cars that are running. You know. Oh, Lamont Gates. Good old Lamont Gates. Yeah, I do. Yeah, and Lamont, I believe in God too. You know, I believe in God too. I mean, I believe God loves everybody too. Come on, Lamont Gates. I believe that God loves everyone too. But this stuff with this stuff, trans stuff, it's just enough. Just sick of it. Because you're not trans. And every time I see trans people on social media, it just makes my skin crawl. And you can say what you want about me, Lamont Gates, but I detest the whole notion that a man can convert to a woman just by virtue of how they look, and a woman can convert to a man just by virtue of how they look. So you got your breast removed. It's all surface stuff, because on the inside you're not you're not a man. Right, Ronald McCready, a trans woman still has the strength of a man. That's right, because a trans woman is not a woman. Just because she's so-called transformed, you're not a woman. You're a man. So if you pick a fight with a trans woman, you might get beat up. But on the other hand, if you pick a fight with a trans woman, you pick a fight with a trans woman, you might get beat up. But if you pick a fight with a trans man, you might win, because that trans man is still a woman. And this whole notion of trans stuff, like I said, let's go back to the 70s and the 80s where people used to cross-dress. You know. People used to cross-dress. There were even movies about cross-dressing. Dustin Hoffman and Tootsie and Robin Williams and Mrs. Doubtfire. You know. Lamont Gates says it's not to question the nature of sex. I'm just answering. And I'm not necessarily talking about only sex either, Lamont Gates. I'm talking about the whole concept of it. You're still, and why? You have trans men having babies. Now, and then you have a woman, I saw it on Facebook today, it made me sick. A woman, why would you why would you transform into a man? I mean, the whole not concept of transforming is just unbelievable in the first place. You know, I don't agree with it. I'm totally against it. But the whole thing of transforming, you can't transform. You are what you are. You're stuck with whatever it is you are. If you're a man, you're gonna be a man. You know, so at least the gay people at least stay who they are. You know, gay man, gay woman, like the LGBTQ community for the most part, a man, he just likes other men. But he's not trying to turn himself into a woman, he just likes other men. My Gates, here we go. Those are personal choices that don't impact us. But does God love you? Absolutely. On that is so important. Yeah, God loves me, even though I'm not the biggest fan of trans people. I don't like it at all. I don't hate them. I just think the whole concept is ridiculous, because you're not transforming. You're not turning into anything. You still are who you are. You have XY chromosomes. Your DNA is male. Your inside, you don't have ovaries. You don't have fallopian tubes. You don't have a vagina. You don't have breast tissue. I mean, come on. Come on. You ain't a woman. You're a man that look like a woman. Just because you look like a woman. Now, what happens? That's why, I mean, I don't advocate. No, let me back up. I don't advocate it. You know, because I've argued with people on one of my other, on Blog Talk Radio, I argue with people all the time about whether a trans woman should tell, because a lot of these trans women, they look like men. I mean, they look like women straight up, fine, nice bodies, nice breasts and everything, but they men. And I argue with people on Blog Talk Radio about whether a trans woman should tell a man she just meets that she's a trans woman. And hell yeah, you should tell. But I argue with people who said, no, you shouldn't tell. I said, well, see, that's why it doesn't end well for some of y'all. When you go out on a date and you don't tell a man that you're a trans woman, you know, so he sees your thing is bigger than his. Oh boy, take a break. Come back with more. It's the Ron Kelly Talk Radio program. Yes, indeed, I am the man. What a news cycle this is. This guy has got to go. Trump has got to go. George Floyd snuffed out by this police officer who's supposed to be serving and protecting people.
It's the Ron Kelly Show.
Alrighty then, we are back. It's the Ron Kelly Talk Radio program, 18 minutes before the hour. Yeah, so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it in regards to the trans thing. Lamont Gates says those are personal choices that don't impact us, but does God love you? On its own point. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I believe God loves everybody. Sure. I believe God loves everybody. Absolutely. Yes, I do. You know, even the trans people. He loves them too. He loves the killers, the murderers, the child molesters, the bank robbers, the B&E artists, the car thieves, the hookers, the call girls. He loves everybody. He loves, because the disciples, when Jesus sat at the table, the Last Supper, everybody at that table was a criminal. A blasphemer, a thief, a prostitute, you know, all kinds of bad people were at that table, because those are the people that Jesus chose. So, but there wasn't no trans people at the Last Supper, though. 16 minutes before the hour of 8 o'clock is the Ron Kelly Talk Radio program. Yo, check out Lamont Gates. I know he doesn't do this for me. If somebody asked me, they said, Lamont Gates, does he front your program on his show? I said, I don't know. Anyway, check out Lamont Gates. What's the name of Lamont Gates show? NDE, Near Death Experiences. Near Death, yeah. Just check him out on YouTube. Lamont Gates' show, he talks to people who swear that they had died and came back to life. Those are the people Lamont Gates talks to on his program. People who believe that they died and came back to life. Those are the people on Lamont Gates' show. So you might find that interesting. So check him out. I'm not sure the date and time, but look him up. Lamont Gates Near-Death Experiences. I wish there was a way where you could actually tell if they're actually telling the truth. I wish there was a way, because wow. Okay, never mind. Lamont Gates and Near-Death Experiences on YouTube. Okay, sorry, how do you know that it wasn't? How do I know what wasn't? I don't understand the question because there's a lot of comments up here and I don't understand because I'm looking at comments from three different social media outlets. Sorry, how do you know that it wasn't? I don't know who Arnetta Marshall is. I don't know if she's addressing me or somebody else on the thread. Arnetta Marshall, please let us know who are you. Um, Let us know who you are talking to or addressing on the thread. Okay, 14 minutes for 40 hours. So yeah, the trans thing took up the whole hour almost. I do want to talk about freedom of speech or lack thereof, what's going on right now. And you know, and you know, this whole thing with Trump, and don't forget, um, how do I know trans people? There wasn't no trans people that know last summer. Get out of here. They might have been gay, but there wasn't no trans people. You know, knock it off. Wasn't no trans people at the last summer. It wasn't even that. Can you imagine? That wasn't even. They just started with this trans nonsense of a woman that thinks she can transform into a man because she had a beard. I mean, you can see women dressed like men at Halloween parties. They don't look much different from these trans women, the trans men. It's ridiculous. No, there wasn't no trans people at the last supper. I don't think so. I beg to differ. There wasn't no trans people at the last supper. Anyway, everybody, it's 13 minutes before the hour. So Lamont Gates says trans begins with feeling. No, Lamont Gates. No. Trans begins with feeling. This is coming from Lamont Gates. Trans begins with feeling you are an opposite sex, not necessarily having the operation done. And yeah, and that's what, like gay people, gay men who are still men, gay men who are still men, who still put their pants on one leg at a time, don't wear makeup, don't wear false eyelashes, don't get their nails. Well, there's a lot of football players getting their nails done these days. I don't know what that's about, but yeah, it feeling you are opposite. Yeah, now, if you are a man and you, like gay men, for example, they don't feel like they're a woman. From what I understand, gay men don't feel like they're women. They just want to be with other men. But they don't go so far as to to try, because there is no transition. Let's make that abundantly clear. There is no transition. Now, yes, indeed, Lamont, it's not gay men who know they are men. This subject is complex, but you should interview the trans community. Bet that would be a great show. Yeah, but they're going to be. I've interviewed gay people on my show. I've done that. You know, they don't want to come talk to me because I'm not going to be Mr. Nice Guy. So they don't want to talk to me, but I have interviewed gay people on my program, you know, but that was a long time ago. Now, I will reach out to Garden State Equality and one of the other LGBTQ organizations and see if there's somebody on there or somebody with that organization would like to come on the program and talk about it. See, because I think the LGBTQ community is not really 100% down with this trans nonsense. I don't think so. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, something else. But the T in LGBTQ don't mean trans. You know. But I will reach out to one of the organizations, probably Garden State Equality, and see if somebody from there will be willing to come on the program and talk about this trans stuff. Because I think it's ridiculous. You know, you're a man, you can't be a woman. Because just because you got hormones and You still a man. You still got man parts. You don't have no ovaries. You don't have fallopian tubes. You don't have like slender hips, with a woman. No. It definitely means trans, Lamake said. You need to sit down with one of. No. Well, you know what? I'll reach out to him. And if there's something that I can be educated in, and if it's something I'm agreeable to, well, sure, why not? Sure. But yeah, I will, Lamont Gates. I definitely will get with them. I'll reach out to Garden State Equality. There's a lot of gay people in Montclair. I don't live in Montclair anymore, but yeah. So, yeah, I'll definitely do that. Okay, I'll do that. So part two on this trans stuff, what I think is nonsense. Part two is will be when I reach out to somebody at Garden State Equality and see if they're willing to come on the Ron Kelly show at 8.5 minutes before the hour of 7 o'clock, of 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. In the big city. It's around, and it's humid. It's humid in here. Oh my God, I got to turn the air conditioner on. Anyway, yeah, so Kimmel came back. And see, and people still don't understand. I've been saying it for years. I've been saying it since the first Trump presidency. I've been saying it. What's going on? I've been saying it. Trump is now former FBI Director Comey going after Letitia James. Anybody who came for Trump is now on the hit list. Letitia James got him for the bad business practices. Anybody anybody who came for Trump is on his hit list now. You on the list. It's payback time. Like James Brown, the big payback. What is Trump's big payback right now? And I've been telling y'all, for years since the last Trump lost in 2020, and I've been telling y'all, go back to any Ron Kelly show, because on the different media outlets, you can go way back. On Blog Talk Radio, you can go back a few years. I'm not sure how far back you can go on Facebook and YouTube, but I know on Blog Talk Radio you can go back years. And I've been saying it, what the conservatives and the Republicans want to do, and they're doing it. You got to fight fire with fire. Yeah, I'm tired of, you can't be marching. I mean, there was a march and somebody suggested that I go, but I'm like, no, I'm not going to no march. I'm tired of marching. We got to form a strategy. Marching, I mean, come on. Enough with the marching. It's time to form a strategy. It's time to do something different. Because and you know what happens, like that. The actor or actress, if their kid gets autism, they jump on the autism bandwagon. Now they're autism spokesman. Now they're autism fundraiser. Now, and that's what we do. As soon as something affects us, we jump up and want to do something. And even then, we're not doing anything. So enough is enough with this, with this marching. Ronald, yeah. Well, you see, and like I was explaining to some of y'all last week about, there's some of these things that's happening in America that we can fix. And I'm going to be coming up with stuff. I mean, I've already laid out a plan. Yeah, I laid out a plan. But there's things we can fix, like the banking system, for example. Can't get a loan. Racism in the bank, can't get a loan, can't start a business, can't, your credit score got to be twice as good as somebody else's, this, that, and the third. We can fix that. We have a bank, one United Bank. If every black person in America bank with one United Bank will be the biggest bank in America, a black-owned bank. And see, then you don't have to worry about getting a loan. You don't have to worry about buying a car. I mean, yeah, you still got to qualify, like I was saying last week, but you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about racism because you be dealing with your own people. You know what I'm saying? If you want to stay with a commercial bank. That's why a lot of black folks go to credit unions. I'm in one. You know. And see, the reason why black folks don't bank with black banks is because the black banks don't have all of the bells and whistles that the Wells Fargos and the JP Morgans of the world. They don't, those smaller banks, black-owned banks don't have what these other banks have, what these big banks have. One United Bank is let's see, Boston, mostly it looks like Massachusetts for the most part. One United Bank, Boston, Dorchester, Massachusetts. Well, they're based in L.A. They have branches in California, Miami, Massachusetts. Yeah, see, they don't have a lot of locations because they don't have the money that the Chase has or a Wells Fargo or Bank of America. They don't have that kind of money because nobody's, you know, nobody has, you know, they don't have that kind of money to put forth, you know, and have all the high-tech stuff that these other white banks have. Lamont Gates says, thank you, Ronald McCready. Voting is the main solution. Black, white, Hispanics of all colors have received loans from commercial banks. Whites alike have been rejected. Using race to segregate the nation will not help the overall goal, which is humanity, not the race. To see Lamont Gates, you're way off, because the point of black folks is it's about power, Lamont Gates. It's not about separating ourselves from them. Because white folks will probably be black folks do get loans from white banks. They just don't get them enough. They don't get them enough, Lamont. So it's not about, you know, it's not about that. It's about power. It's about economic power. Other people use theirs too. The Asians, they use theirs. The Jews. And then people come in from other countries and they use their economic power and they build themselves up. You can vote all you want. And, you know, I respect that. But, you know, the key... Oh, it is 8 o'clock. The key is, it's about a minute before the hour. Yeah, but we got it. America is about power. It used to be about voting. But it's about power. What stats show that don't get them enough? Those races use all races. Well, you know what, Lamont Gates? We'll have that. You see, because these people have their own financial institutions. The Asians have theirs. The Brazilians and Venezuelans, people like that have. You go to Ironbound section of Newark, New Jersey, for example. You see all kinds of banks. You'd be like, what's the name of that damn bank? You know, never heard of it. People have their own banks, so they can go in and they can feel comfortable getting their own stuff. But we'll approach it. I'll set up. You know, I'll do the homework with my Gates, and I'll set it up where I'll have enough info so we can have a conversation. All right, everybody, it's just a couple seconds before the hour. Thank you so much for joining me here on the Ron Kelly Talk Radio program. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. He's a universalist, not a nationalist. And just because I'm black and go to a black bank, I still have to have good credit. Of course. Yeah, you see, you can't. I'm not saying you go to the bank and you get a break, but oh, I got a 400 score, but I'm still gonna borrow $1 million. No, you still have to qualify at the black bank the same way you do with the white bank. But the only thing is, the caveat is that there's nobody looking at you across the table just going to knock you just because you're black, because they will do that. They will knock you just because you're black. You can have a good credit score. You can have, a good business plan, and they'll still bust you because you're black. So my point is, when you go to a black bank, you may not have to worry about racism to a degree. If everybody went to a black bank, it's power. Black people have to use their economic power, because that's what America's about, the dollar. And if we put our dollars together, we can get something straight. All right, everybody, I'm out of here. Thanks so much for joining me. It's about 8 o'clock in the evening. See you back here next Thursday. The unveiling is coming. The unveiling is coming. The unveiling is coming. We're getting it together. I apologize for it taking so long, but I am coming on the air just in case. I am coming on the air. It was suggested to me by several people to stay on the air in the meantime. So we'll see you back here. Lamont Gates says, if he's saying we all in the United, yeah, we'll have a strong right. It's right on that. If we reunite, one united bank, one united black folk, if we all unite, because you're not getting nothing without unity, nothing. All right, everybody, thank you. We're out of here. Before I go, I'd like to say that it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. And, Lamont Gates. Every time Lamont Gates comes on, I start, the Kumbaya starts playing in my head. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for joining me. See you back here next time for another edition of the Ron Kelly Show. So until then, I'd like to say it's nice to be important, but it's no more important to be nice, Lamont Gates, and that we may not have it all together, Lamont. We may not have it all together, Lamont, but together we can definitely have it all. Thank you so much. I think I am